Welcome guys to the 1 hour gentle yoga class. So we'll start in any easy seat that we need, and as always we're welcome to adjust and readjust until we found something that we can comfortably sit in. We'll let our hands rest however we want our hands to rest today, and we might find it's comfortable to let our eyes close. Now if we can, I invite you to notice the breath in its natural state right now. We can remind ourselves that the simple act of noticing our breath does change it a little bit. But can we do our best to notice what is our breath naturally defaulting into right now? Is it naturally fast or slow, energetic or sluggish, shallow or deep? And we can remind ourselves that these breathing patterns are not inherently good or inherently bad. If anything, they are just indicators. Our body trying our best to help us out, even if it feels a little misguided sometimes. And we can even remind ourselves that in times of stress, we are more likely to have shallow breath and rapid breath, or even sluggish breath. We might even take a moment to thank our bodies for trying its best to help us out. But then if we can, we'll shift that breath towards some slower and deeper inhales and slower exhales. So can we find our full breath in and that full breath out? Now, if we can, today might be a day that we notice what we can expand on that inhale. So we might find that there are certain spots in the body that get a little stuck when we breathe in. And if we'd like, we might start by noticing the space in between our ribs. Can we imagine that area widening and getting bigger as we inhale, and on the exhale, relaxing back? And then can we notice where the rib cage tends to expand and where it doesn't tend to expand? So we might start by noticing, can it expand out side to side? And then relax back. But then on our next inhale, can we see it expand front to back as well? And then relax back. And can we then think corner to corner as it expands and then comes back? Can we think of our upper body? Can we think about that area broadening out on our next inhale and relaxing on the exhale? Can we even think about our belly area? Can we think about it softening on the inhale, letting our diaphragm drop down, and then a little press in on the exhale? So again, we might be thinking about all variations or combinations of these expansions. It's okay if we focus on one at a time. So again, maybe on our inhale, we're thinking rib cage expanded out front to back, and then came back. Maybe then we think corner to corner, comes back. Maybe a different corner to corner, and then comes back. Now, if we'd like, we're welcome to go through the list. We're welcome to see what we can include as a combination. It's okay if we are trying to combine them and we find that we miss a few. Just make this our own. Let yourself be curious. What happens if I focus on these certain spots, expanding on the inhale and then relaxing on the exhale? And then if we can, we'll give this just a few more breaths. Now, if we can, we'll let our hands come together at the heart, and we'll pause to set a positive intention. And especially in times like this, we want to think about those traits that can help us weather a storm. And sometimes that could be presence. Can I stay in the present moment? Can I strengthen my ability to stay in the present moment? Not project myself into the future or think about the past. And maybe today that's our intention today. And we'll take a breath in as we're ready. On the exhale, we'll let our hands rest against our legs. And always mindful the eyes could stay closed for as long as we need. And if it feels good, we'll start with our shoulder rolls. So we could shrug the shoulders up towards the ears and eventually relax them back down. So we could inhale and shrug the shoulders up, and the exhales can relax them down. And what we might do today is we might try to see if we can slow down that movement, even if it's just for 1 or 2 rotations, slightly slower than we're initially comfortable with. We might even do that for 1 last rotation, just noticing that moment when we get a little uncomfortable with how slow it's going, and see if we can breathe through it. And then we'll come back. We'll take a moment here, we'll get tall through the body, and maybe on our next inhale, we'll let our arms reach up and overhead. And on the exhale, we'll let them relax back down. Now, if we'd like, we're going to repeat this. We'll inhale the arms up. We'll exhale those arms down. Now, maybe for 1 or 2 of these, we're going to go a little slower than we're comfortable with. Just slow on the inhale. And slow on the exhale. So if this goes out of sync with our breath, that is okay. Now, maybe 1 more time we do this. Slow on the inhale. And slow on the exhale. And then we'll come back down. We can relax the shoulders. We might shrug them out a little bit. Now, if we like, we'll take a moment to find our side bend, and we might start with the bottom up today. So we might start with taking that left hand and just finding the mat. Again, we're just working from the bottom up towards the top, and we might even like to just walk that hand out, find a little tilt in the torso, kind of like our rib cage is a cylinder, and we just started to pour water onto that right side or that left side, whichever side we're picking. Now, if we're ready, we'll take that opposite arm. It's welcome to reach up towards the ceiling. If that doesn't work for us today, maybe it's hands on the ribs or even hands behind the back for a half bind. Again, make that time your own. Do you like to move out that bottom arm or put a bend in the elbow? Again, it's not about how much we're putting into that side bend, but did I find a stretch that feels good for my back? And we'll try our best to breathe in and breathe out. Now, if we can, we'll come back up and we'll just switch sides. Opposite arm can come down. So now we can always reach up. Maybe it's up and overhead. Maybe there's a bend in the elbow, maybe not. We're just going to pause here with this one. Just trying our best to breathe in. And out. One last breath here if we can. And if we can, we'll let our arms relax down. We might shrug the shoulders out if that feels good. We'll find our way into our tabletop position, and we might roll over the shins or we might swing our legs around. In front of us, it's up to us. And so once we find that tabletop position, we'll come into a few of our cat-cow movements. So we might start just by dropping the belly down, taking that breath in, rounding our back, taking that breath out, and we'll just repeat this movement if we can. So a little drop of the belly, a little round of our back, and we're just going to repeat this movement. We're going to try our best to let our breath and movement link up. And today I invite you to think of this less as we're moving the body and syncing up the breath with the movement. And more that we are breathing deeply. And it is those breaths that have guided us into the pose. So I'm not just rounding my back and then breathing in and dropping the belly and then breathing out. But it's my inhale that got me into my back round and my exhale that got me into my back bend. So again, make that time your own though. You don't have to play with that if that doesn't work for us. Maybe 3 more rounds. Now, if we would like, we can end on whatever it is we would like to end on today. We'll come back more to a center position. And as always, we might take a moment for the wrists. We might like to shake them out a little bit. We might like to roll out the wrists or place one hand at a time down with the top of the hand finding the mat. Just a little wrist stretch. And we'll find our way into balancing table. But again, we're only going to our level, nobody else's. So our balancing table might look like extending our left leg and letting the left toes stay on the mat. Maybe we've extended that leg up. This could be our pose. Or maybe we're light on that right hand, or maybe that right hand slid out with the finger still on the mat, or maybe the right arm reached out. Again, what do we personally need here? So we're going to try our best to press that belly towards the spine. We're going to try our best to hold this pose and at least practice not holding the breath. Find that inhale. Find that exhale. One more full breath if we can. Everything can come down, hand and knee. And we might need a moment. We might need to shake out that left hand. Maybe we're stretching out the wrist. We'll try it on the other side. So now we take that opposite leg, and it can slide out and the toes could stay on the mat, or it could lift off the mat. We might be light on that left hand, or let that left hand slide out, or let that left arm reach out in front of us. We're just try our best to breathe in. We're going to try our best to breathe out. Holding the pose and at least practicing not holding the breath. Full inhale if we can. Full exhale. One more breath. Now if we're ready, hand and knee can come down. And we might need a moment here. Again, we might shake things out. We might move the hips a little bit. If we are ready, we'll find our way into our child's pose. We are welcome to let the knees be together or apart. We could shift back, and it might feel good to shift back and down. Maybe today's the day we've stretched our arms out in front of us, but maybe today our arms are by our side. So we can always remind ourselves that one of the things we can do to help out the mind is to work the body. And sometimes if we're feeling a little bit maybe extra vulnerable, extra exposed, sometimes hands by the legs is a little bit more of a protective feeling. So we'll try our best to breathe in, and we'll try our best to breathe out. Now, if we are ready, we are welcome to find our way into our first down dog. So we can always come back up towards a table. We might need to readjust things. We'll try our best to let our fingers spread wide as we curl the toes and the hips travel back, and maybe back and up. As always, this is our time. We want to pedal out our heels. Are we more of a bend and straighten the knees kind of person? Do we like to lift up one leg and then lift up the other leg? What do we want to do here? As always, if we feel like our hands are sliding off the mat, maybe we're pressing them towards the center, as if those thumbs are trying to meet. The hands won't go anywhere, but maybe we feel a broadness in the back. Also noticing if we tend to pull our weight into our wrists or into our pinky side edge of the hands, and can we readjust, redistribute that weight? It's a little more challenging for the forearms, but it's better for the wrists. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And as we're ready, we'll come towards a forward fold. Now we're welcome to walk the feet in. We're welcome to walk the hands to the feet. It's whatever we need here. This is our forward fold. Now as we're here, maybe we just shake out the head. This is something I love to do not only at the beginning of our class in a forward fold, but at the beginning of any forward fold. Just a reminder that the head can release. We don't have to look around the room right now. We can practice a little bit of surrender. Even if it's just one moment of surrender and we find that we're back on alert again, we gave ourselves a moment that we wouldn't have otherwise had. So we're going to try our best to breathe in. And we try our best to breathe out. Maybe one more full breath here. Now, if we're ready, we'll come up to stand. We'll press through the feet. We'll let those arms reach up and overhead. Eventually, we'll let our hands find their way back towards the heart, and we'll notice if we can pause here. We'll take that moment to breathe in. We'll take that moment to breathe out. Now, if we would like, we'll find our way into our standing crescent moon. We can adjust the feet however we need to, and if we need to adjust once we come into the pose, that's perfectly fine as well. If we're ready, we'll let our arms reach up and overhead, whether we put our palms together, if we like to hook the thumbs, or if we like our hand on the wrist, it's up to us. We'll find length, and then we'll go up and over towards the right. So again, what do we need out of this pose? Some like to let their hips shift towards the left. Others like to really press that left foot down. Or we might be thinking about our ribs like that cylinder again, and it's just pouring water onto that left side. What do we need here? We're going to try our best to breathe in and our best to breathe out. And if we're ready, we come up. If we were doing hands to wrist, we just take that moment to switch, and we'll go up and over in the opposite direction. Again, make that time your own. Maybe we're letting our hips shift towards the right or pressing that right foot down. Others like to let that top arm do a light sliding back, almost like we're adding in a very slight, very gentle twist. I'm going to try our best to breathe in and try our best to breathe out. But then when we're ready, we'll come back up. We'll let our arms relax down. We might shrug them out a little bit. And we'll take a moment in our mountain pose. So we might readjust our feet. The toes might point straight ahead. We might let our palms rotate forward or even slightly away. And we might close our eyes. And I invite you to notice where the feet are connecting to the mat. Maybe we can grip our mat with our toes, kind of like we're trying to crumple paper underneath our feet. Maybe we can notice what it feels like to put a little more weight into the balls of our feet. We could practice putting weight into the heels, but being very careful. There's nothing to stop us if we put too much weight into it. So again, just noticing how that feels. And can we continue to think about how the feet feel against our mat as we play with our half sun salutations? So maybe on our next inhale, we'll let our arms reach up and overhead. And on our exhale, we'll find a forward fold, maybe with soft knees as we come down. On our next inhale, we'll come up to a halfway lift. So we just want to think strong back. So we let the torso guide the way and the hands just follow suit. And then we'll come back down again. As we're ready, we'll come back up. The arms can reach as we stand. And eventually the hands can meet back at the heart at whatever way we'd like to do that. Now, if we're ready, we'll try that again. We'll inhale our arms up and overhead. And we'll exhale into the fold of our choosing. We'll inhale, halfway lift, strong back. On the exhale, we'll come right back down again. On our inhale, we're coming back up to stand. Those arms can lift. And the hands can find our heart one more time. We'll inhale those arms up. We'll exhale into the fold. We'll inhale, halfway lift. And we'll exhale back down. We'll inhale all the way up as we are ready. We'll exhale our hands towards the heart. We'll pause if that's possible. We'll notice. We'll breathe. We'll take that inhale. And that exhale. Now, if we would like, we might play with our balance a little bit before finding our warrior one. So we could relax the arms, we'll get closer to the top of the mat if we're not there already. We'll put weight into that left foot. We're gonna press that left foot down if we can. Right knee can lift, and maybe the toes are down today, maybe the toes are up, maybe we toe tap. You can also roll out the ankle if that feels better for us. So whatever we found here, maybe we're playing with that grip of the mat with that opposite foot, pressing that left foot down. And when we're ready, we'll find warrior one. We let our weight shift back, heel organically finds the mat. We stay facing forward if we can. Arms reach up. Maybe there's a bend in the front knee. And make that pose your own. That back heel, it's just going to adjust in whatever way we need to so that back knee is okay. For some of us, that looks like 45 degrees. Others, it's a little more narrow. Others, it might even be a little more wide. Make it your own. We're going to try our best to breathe in. We're going to try our best to breathe out. Now, if we would like, we'll add in a little bit of a shoulder flow. We're going to inhale to straighten our front leg, and we'll let our elbows bend. So how we bend the elbows is up to us. Some like to keep them about shoulder height. Others like to tuck them in. Others like to let the elbows travel towards the back of the room. Make that your own. We might even like to lift through the chest. And once we found the version we like, we'll return back to warrior one. And we'll try our best to keep that in mind as we start our flow. We're going to inhale to straighten the front leg and find that elbow bend. And we'll exhale and come back, warrior one. So we can repeat that. We'll inhale as we come up. And we'll exhale as we return. So again, we could inhale as we come up. And exhale, return. We can inhale to come up. Exhale to return. We're going to do this 3 more times. Now, if we can, we're going to slow it down. Slow exhale. So full inhale, fill up our lungs. Exhale, slower than we're initially okay with. 1 more if we can. Mindful that if the breath can't keep up with it, that's okay. We don't want to get lightheaded here. Nice and slow, we'll return. Pausing here if this is possible. We'll take that deep breath in. We'll take that deep breath out. Now, if we're ready, we'll relax the arms and we'll come into our pyramid pose. So some people might even keep that knee bent. Others have the option of straightening it. Just try your best not to lock it out. We'll take that back foot and we might try to bring it in. And we'll try our best to get both feet to face straight ahead, like we're kind of on a set of cross-country skis, only with the heels down. Now again, we make this time our own. Knee might be bent, knee might be straight. We might be someone who likes to have the hands on the hips, especially if we find that we tend to all of a sudden open out through our right side. We're just gonna bring that back as mindfully as we can, keeping things relatively square. Now, if we're ready, we're welcome to tilt forward, and that might mean we keep our hands on the hips. Some like to place their hands on their thigh. Now, this might even become more of a runner's stretch where we place the hands one on top of the other, and then just think about our tailbone tilting towards the ceiling as the torso stays relatively high up. We are also welcome to walk our hands down to our shins. We are welcome to bring them down towards the legs. Now, that might be placing blocks on the floor. Maybe the hands or the fists are on the floor. But just like with our halfway lift, where it was the torso that guided the way and the arms follow suit, same deal here. Wherever the torso naturally goes, and then we let the hands find where they're going to organically go. We don't want to force the hands to the ground. We don't want to force anything here. We're going to try our best to breathe in, and we'll try our best to breathe out. One more breath if it's possible. Now, if we can, we'll press through our feet to bring ourselves back up. And we'll come into our stargazer. So we'll bring our arms behind us. Now we're welcome to clasp the palms behind us. We're welcome to place our hands on the forearms or even hands on the elbows if we prefer. I personally prefer hands on the elbows for stargazer, but make that time your own. And we'll press our belly to the spine, strengthen that core. We'll lift through the chest. And then we'll see what we need for the shoulders. Now some people might find the shoulders just relax away from the ears, or they might imagine the shoulders are trying to travel towards the back of the room. Whether or not our elbows are bending will change the pose entirely. Arms straight is a different pose than the elbows bent. So again, keep that in mind. I'm going to try our best to breathe in. And try our best to breathe out. One more breath. Now if we can, we'll let go and we'll step in. We'll take that back leg in. We'll kind of shake things out. We're going to pause here in mountain pose. Arms can relax down. They might rotate away, and we're going to really notice the body. Now, can we notice first and foremost that right leg? It is okay if we got a dull ache in the calf muscle area. Aches in the belly of the muscles is normal, especially for any prolonged stretch. And for most of us, our calf muscles are overworked and understretched. However, if we got pain in our joints, or if we feel like that dull ache went into a burning sensation, we want to make note about that. That's something we want to avoid. And we might try to modify for the other side if that's what happened. Now, if we're ready, we'll try it on the opposite side. So we can relax the arms, and if we're not by the front of the mat, we'll just get there. And if we're ready, we'll put weight into now that right foot. We're going to press that right foot into the mat, left knee can lift. And if we're ready, we'll send that leg back again. Heel organically finds the ground. We'll stay facing forward. Maybe there's a bend in our front knee. Maybe we're ready to let our arms reach up towards the ceiling. Now we'll pause here if that's possible. We're just going to give this a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Now if we're ready, we'll find that flow. So the first one, we're going to just be nice and slow as we come up. Notice what we want. Now another option is to also let our palms face the ground and draw the elbows back like we're rowing. That gets at a slightly different set of shoulder muscles. I'm going to try our best to just really notice what we need here. And we'll keep it in mind as we come back. Warrior one. So now we're ready for our flow. We'll inhale as we come up and we bend our elbows. And we can exhale and return back. We can inhale, coming up, elbows have bent, and we'll come back. So we're just doing this a few more times. So we're going to inhale for this one, and exhale. Maybe we can do one more at this usual speed, average speed. But now when we're ready, we're going to slow it down. That next one, nice and slow, we come up. Nice and slow, we come back. So nice and slow, we come up as full of an inhale as we can, and then we come back. One more time. So it's okay if our mind is reacting strongly to this. That's okay. Can we notice that? Exhale, we'll come back. One last breath in our warrior one. And then we'll relax the arms. We'll find pyramid. Straight or leg can be bent or straight. We'll take our back foot in a little bit. And we're going to try our best to let those feet face straight ahead. Again, we might look back. If that foot rotated in, can we readjust until both feet can face straight ahead? That helps get that outside calf muscle area on our back leg. Make that time your own. Do you want your hands on your hips? Do you want to tilt forward? And again, maybe hands are on the thigh. And we're just thinking tailbone lifted to the ceiling. Torso stayed pretty tall. Maybe we prefer to lean forward with the torso. And again, the torso made the movement and the hands just follow suit. If they naturally find blocks or the floor or the shin, then they do. But we want to try our best not to think, I'm reaching for the ground and hopefully my back and my hamstrings can follow suit. So we're just trying our best to breathe in. We're trying our best to breathe out. So full inhale if possible. Full exhale if possible. One last breath. We'll press through our feet, we'll come back up, and we'll take our back leg in. And again, we'll come back to that mountain pose. We'll let our palms rotate forward or away, and maybe now we can notice our legs. Can we notice how left leg feels in relation to right? Right leg in relation to left? Is it possible to notice differences without necessarily labeling anything as good or as bad, better or worse? And then we might come back to noticing our feet. Can we notice how the feet feel against our mat? Can we press our toes into the mat, maybe even a little grip of the mat as if we're trying to crumple paper? And we might notice that when we put weight into the balls of our feet, our toes can kind of catch us and bring us back. If we put weight into the heels, after a certain point, there's kind of a point of no return and we have to readjust or even stumble a little bit. And we can always remind ourselves that all we're doing is playing with our balance. Nothing is getting tested. No pass or fail mark to worry about. Now, if we would like, we can take that reminder and play with our tree pose. So we are doing a balancing pose. We might prefer our mat. We can also step off the mat if we feel like that's a little less squishy. We can get close to a wall. Again, we want to make sure we're going to our level, nobody else's. Now, if we would like, we'll start on that left side. We're just going to think soft knees. Again, notice if we tend to lock out the knees, we're going to soften them. We're going to put weight into that left foot. We're going to focus on our foundation first. We're going to press that left foot down, press those toes down, little grip of the mat with our feet. And can we continue to think about that sensation as the right knee lifts? So we might take our heel and place it to that left ankle. Again, left foot's pressing down, we're gripping the mat. Maybe we prefer to lift that foot up to about calf height, more or less. Can we still focus on that left foot? Now, if we feel like we have higher to go, we can bring that foot behind the knee, whether we keep the toes pointed or we hook the foot. If we find we go to the inner thigh, we might notice that we have to press the foot into the thigh and the thigh back into the foot. If we brought our foot to the inner thigh and it immediately slid down to the knee, we have the option of either pointing the foot so it's just the toes that are touching the shin, or bring that foot behind us. So again, we've got a lot of options. It's okay if that left leg is getting tired. Can we still focus on that left foot? Notice I didn't say anything about the hands. We're going to let our arms do what we want them to do. Do we like conventional tree pose by reaching the arms up, or hands at the heart, or those elbows bent? Whatever we found, full breath in, full breath out, and then we'll come out. Now we might shake out that left leg, we might shake out the right leg, we might notice how that left leg feels right now. So especially a balancing pose that we hold for a bit, sensation can get strong in that leg, things get fatigued. Can we notice what the sensation is now in that leg? Has it already started to dissipate? And then we'll try it on the other side. We're going to put weight into our right leg. We're going to press that foot down. We're practicing soft knees. I know it's tempting to lock out that knee, but it's better for us in the long run to keep the knee a little bent. Pressing that foot down, maybe gripping the mat with our toes. Now we'll put maybe heel against the ankle. Again, right foot's pressing down. Maybe it's foot to the calf muscle, or foot behind the knee, or hooking it, or the toes are pointed. Maybe it's foot to the inner thigh where we're pressing that foot into the thigh, thigh back into the foot. Again, if we're here and we slid down, we just want to be careful not to kind of hook that heel onto the knee. We want to keep this mindful. Maybe the toes are against the shin instead. So again, make that time our own. Arms do what they need to do. They might even be out to the side to help us with our balance like we're on a slack line. Try our best to breathe in. Try our best to breathe out. One more breath. And then we'll come down. And again, we might find we have to kind of shake out the legs a little bit. Might even shrug out the shoulders a little bit. It's whatever we need. And we're going to pause in a mountain pose one more time. Little rotate of the palms forward. Maybe we close our eyes. So can we come back to that affirmative mantra? I am peace. I have strength. I am present. Whatever our intention was. Can we repeat that affirmation to ourselves? And again, if we're not a verbal person, that's okay. We're under no obligation to do this. But if it works for us, I invite you for the next 3 breaths to repeat that to yourself 3 times. Now, if we can, we'll find our flow back to either our down dog or our child's pose. So we might like to be towards the front of the mat, but we don't have to. We'll inhale those arms up and overhead. And on the exhale, we'll find our forward fold again. On our inhale, we'll come into our halfway lift. Again, torso did the work and the hands followed suit for support. And on the exhale, we'll relax it back down. We'll let our hands find the mat and we'll step back. If it's down dog, maybe our feet stepped back and we let our hips shift up and back. If we're in down dog or a child's pose, maybe those knees have come down instead. And what do we need here? We'll try our best to breathe in. We'll try our best to breathe out. One more breath. Now, if we are ready, we'll all meet in child's pose. So if the knees are up, I invite you to let the knees come down, and then we'll eventually shift back and down. And we'll pause here if that's possible. Now again, make that child's pose your own. Another option is also our praying child, where the hands go behind the head, whether we like to interlace the palms, our fingers, and have the palms on the head, or let the palms meet, as if we're in that essentially prayer position. That's also our Anjali Mudra position, especially if we tend to be a little more secular over religious. So whatever we found here, we'll try our best to breathe in and breathe out. One more breath. Now, if we're ready, we'll come back to a seated position. We can always walk ourselves up, and we might be someone who lets the feet go in one direction, hips went in the opposite direction, and we swung the legs around. Now we're welcome to shake out the legs or move the feet. And we'll come into our seated tree pose. So we can always readjust the hips, and we'll start by taking that right knee in. So we can place the foot somewhere along our inner leg if that works for us. And if we need support for the knee, we can place a couple folded towels, a block if we have a yoga block, a pillow there, whatever we need. Now we might even just stay in this upright position. This is what serves. If it feels good, we're welcome to tilt forward. And just like before, hands might be close to the torso, hands might walk out. Again, we want to think the torso did the movement. My arms just followed suit. And if we have connection with the foot, that's wonderful. No extra credit, and likewise no demerits if our hands are closer to the body. If we have our hands on the feet, we are welcome to use that connection for light tractioning. And if we are unable to discern the difference between light tractioning by just holding onto the foot and trying to crank ourselves into the pose, we might err away from using any type of pressure. So we're going to try our best to breathe in. Try our best to breathe out. That full inhale if possible. full exhale. Is it possible to give this 3 deep breaths? Now, if we are ready, we are welcome to come back up, and we'll turn this into our twist. Now, we are welcome to do whatever we need with this twist. We might like to take that bent knee, bring the bent knee up. Foot could be on the inside of the knee or it could cross to the outside. We'll get tall through our body. And on our exhale, we'll twist over towards that right side. Now, we're welcome to hold the knee. We're welcome to hug the knee. The elbow might find the outside of the thigh or the forearm found the thigh. Same rules apply here. My torso did the movement. My arms simply followed suit. And likewise, we're welcome to add in light tractioning here that might come in the form of hugging the knee in or lightly pressing that forearm into the thigh. And again, if we can't tell the difference between cranking the pose and a little bit of traction, let's err on the side of not putting any pressure in. Again, just let that twist be what it's going to be then, and take a deep breath in. And take a deep breath out. One more full breath if we can. Now we are welcome to come back to center, and we are welcome to twist in the opposite direction. So we might be upright for this pose. Again, this is a place where we can add in light tractioning, where that forearm lightly presses into that shin. Or we're welcome to plant 1 or 2 hands down. We might like to walk out the hands. We could also reach out that right hand like we want to shake somebody's hand or point out the ground. It's whatever we need here. What does that back need? Try our best to breathe in and breathe out. Now, if we can, we'll come back to center. We'll keep the legs where we are if we can. Now, we'll take that right hand. We'll let the right hand find the ground. We're going to do that from the bottom up, side bend again. So we might like to walk out the hand or put a bend in the elbow. And we can think about our torso like that cylinder. And we're just starting to pour some water out onto that right side. Now that left hand is welcome to stay where it is. Might be hands on the ribs, arm behind the back. Maybe we like to reach up or up and overhead. It's whatever we need here. We're going to try our best to breathe in. We try our best to breathe out. Full inhale if possible. Full exhale. One more breath. If we're ready, we'll come back up. We'll relax the arms. We'll uncross our legs. Maybe just shake them out a little bit. Maybe we like to move the feet again. That just gets the knees and the hips moving again. And then maybe we try all of that on the other side. We'll start first with that seated tree pose. We'll bring that left knee in, somewhere along the inner leg. Support if we need support. And again, we're welcome to stay upright. And we're also welcome to tilt forward. Arms might stay close to the body. Arms might reach out. But again, it's the torso did the movement. My hands just followed suit. And wherever they're going to land is where they're going to land. Again, is it possible to sit with the pose? Sit with that first wave of resistance, not trying to barge past that resistance, but also not trying to circumvent that resistance in the muscles. Can we just stay with it and breathe in? And breathe out. Again, we can remember that sitting with what the pose feels like is not the same as ignoring pain. If we are past our limits, we need to ease back. Can we give this one last full breath in and full breath out? Now, when we are ready, we're welcome to come back up. We'll come into our twist. So if we'd like, the knee can come up. If we'd like, we could cross it over the straight leg. We'll get tall through the body, deep breath in. On the exhale, we'll twist towards that left side. And again, the torso did the movements. Arms just followed suit. Maybe there's light tractioning, and again, that's just very gentle pressure, not to force the pose into anything, but to create maybe some diagonal pressure, maybe create a little bit of an extra stretch, but it is certainly not a way to force the twist to become twistier. Now, can we give that a full breath in and a full breath out? Now, if we're ready, we're welcome to come back to center, and we're welcome to twist in the opposite direction. Now, we might like to be upright. It might even be upright with that forearm against the shin. We're welcome to plant one hand down or two hands down. We're welcome to walk the hands out. We're welcome to reach out like we want to shake somebody's hand or point out the floor. We'll just try our best to breathe in and try our best to breathe out. Now, if we can, we'll come back to center. We'll let that left hand find the mat. Again, we're doing from the bottom up with this pose. We might walk that hand out. We might bend the elbow. We might think about the rib cage, doing that little tilt. Now, maybe we want our right hand on the ribs or behind the back or reaching up or up and overhead. Again, whatever we need here, we're going to try our best to breathe in and try our best to breathe out. One more breath. And then we are welcome to come back up. We are welcome to uncross the legs. We might need to shake them out. We might move the feet. And then if we are ready, we'll find our forward fold. So for some, that means readjusting the hips. Now we're welcome to keep our knees straight. We're welcome to bend the knees, make that time your own. And just like before, we'll just get tall. We'll let the torso do the movement, and we'll just let our hands follow suit. If we have our hands on the feet, wonderful. If we have our hands on the shins, wonderful. If we have our hands on the thighs or on the floor, wonderful. Again, we're welcome to add in light tractioning. That's very gentle pressure. Maybe it's through the hands with the hands on the shins or the hands sliding lightly towards the wall behind us. But we are certainly not cranking this pose. Again, if we have a hard time playing with tractioning without overdoing it and then coming into cranking the pose, that's okay. There's no judgment here. But we want to make sure that we understand that that is a limit for us, and we might avoid tractioning for now. Can we give this 3 more breaths? Now, whatever version we found, we're welcome to come back up. And again, we might need to shake the legs out. We might need to move the feet a little bit. And then we'll come down onto our backs. Get there however you need to. Maybe we want to walk the hands back or hold on to the knees and lightly roll back. It's just up to us. And once we're here, it might feel good just to hug the knees a little bit. Maybe we like to draw circles with the knees. So today might be a day that we just take a moment with this. Maybe we hug the knees in, maybe we rock a little bit. If we would like, we'll find our bridge flow. Now, if we know that it doesn't feel good for us to lift up our hips, what we might do is either keep our hips on the ground or lift them up just long enough that we can place a block or something sturdy underneath our tailbone. Now, if we'd like, we'll plant our feet down. We'll walk them close to us. Now, if we can, we're going to press through the hips, or press through the feet as the hips lift up, and we'll let our arms reach up and overhead and find the ground behind us. Now we can be mindful that our arms have to travel a lot further than the hips do. As the hips and arms come down, we're going to slow our hips down so the arms do not have to speed up in order to get down to the ground at the same time as the hips. So we're going to try that even with coming up as well. So lifting the hips nice and slow so the arms can slowly come up and overhead and find the ground without having to speed up. It's okay if they didn't stay in sync. This is a practice. And then nice and slow, we're going to try that. Slowly bring the hips down without speeding up through the arms. One more time. Nice and slow, maybe even slightly slower than we're initially comfortable with. Again, yoga is all about that relative discomfort to learn to breathe through challenge. And then when we're ready, we'll come back slowly, letting our hips come down, arms meeting the ground as well. And we'll pause. And we might need to move a little bit. And if it feels good, we'll do any twist towards the right that we need. We decide how we want our knees to travel over towards the right. If we're someone who likes to let the hips shift to the left first and then come over to the right. Arms do what they need to do. Do we like them out like we drew a letter T? Do we like those elbows bent? And that just gets at some of the rotating muscles in our shoulders. This is certainly not the training wheels version of arms straight. In fact, I personally find cactus arms to be tougher. So we'll try our best to breathe in. We'll try our best to breathe out. And then if we're ready, we'll come back to center. We'll try it in the opposite direction. Again, any twist of our choosing towards this side. Hands go however we want them to go on this side. Can we give this another full breath in? And another full breath out. Now, if we are ready, we are welcome to come back to center. We are welcome to move in whatever way we want to move. And then I invite you to do any additional movement you personally need before you come to Shavasana pose. Now, for some, that means coming straight to Shavasana. For others, that might mean coming to something like a supine bound angle or happy baby. Again, what do we personally need here? So I invite you to wind down the practice in the way you personally need to. And likewise, if we need more than about 5 or so minutes for Shavasana, I invite you to pause the video. I invite you to put a timer on your phone, and I invite you to give yourself that time for extra rest. So I never explicitly say when to come to Shavasana. You'll come to it when you're personally ready. I'll play the singing bowls as we are resting, and eventually I will let them fade into silence. After that, I will ring my chimes, and I will guide us out. And what we do between now and when I guide us out and back to an easy seat is entirely within our power. We can start with a full breath in and that full breath out. And we can return movement as movement feels right. And that might look like a stretch through our fingers and toes, maybe movement through our hands and through our feet. And today I invite you to let that movement be a little bit slower than we're initially comfortable with. We'll let it add on as we want it to add on. Maybe give ourselves an extra breath through each transition. And as always, this is our time. We'll come into easy seat when we are ready. If we are ready, we can find our way towards the easy seat of our choosing, and we can let our hands come back together at the heart in the way we want them to. And we'll seal in our practice with a moment of gratitude. And today might come in the form of asking ourselves, if gratitude were a feeling, that a physical sensation that we could feel in our body, what would it feel like? And then whatever meaning of namaste resonates, and perhaps today it is the resiliency within me recognizes the resiliency within you. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your practice. Namaste.